somebody left a comment on my Joshua Ngannou post-fight video where they were talking about head kicks being more powerful than head punches and using Ray Mercer in MMA as an example because Ray Mercer had a very good chin in boxing, but he got knocked out in MMA, I believe, by a head kick. I responded to the person in the comments, but I want to respond here in the video in case anybody else is thinking along the same lines as that individual. So what I said was that Ray Mercer's punch resistance was gone, was shot, long before he ever made a foray into MMA. When he fought Lennox Lewis, he suffered nerve damage in his neck, which eventually needed surgery. After that surgery, Ray Mercer's chin was never the same. He was getting knocked out by Shannon Briggs, knocked out by Vladimir Klitschko, etc., etc. He was no longer the Iron Man that he was prior to that surgery. So that's the first thing. Now, with that being said, I am well aware that kicks are more powerful than punches, generally speaking. But here's the thing. Most MMA fighters, like Francis Ngannou, don't get hit with clean head kicks as often as they get hit with punches. And when somebody does get kicked in the head, it doesn't necessarily land in the sweet spot. It doesn't necessarily land as cleanly as it would need to have maximum impact. Sometimes it can be more of a slap, the way that it lands and maybe hit a guy on the hard part of the skull rather than in the face, and then it doesn't have the kind of effect that you're looking for. So with regards to Ngannou's punch resistance, people saying it was amazing because he'd taken head kicks in MMA, you'd need to go back and look at the footage of the few times that Ngannou got caught supposedly clean with a head kick in MMA and see how clean that really caught him. You see, the thing about punches at the top level in boxing is that a guy like Anthony Joshua, for example, can deliver powerful shots right on the sweet spot on your chin with accuracy, with timing, with power when you least expect it. And because you're getting hit more often with punches than you are with kicks, it raises the possibility that somebody's going to find that sweet spot to be able to knock you out and put your lights out. You see, so statistically, I think you're more likely probably to get knocked out not only in MMA by punches than kicks, because people tend to hit you more often with punches, but same way with boxing. You're more likely to get knocked out in boxing with a head punch than you are with a head kick in MMA. So this is something you have to factor in to the equation. Francis Ngannou, for me, the jury was always out on his chin going into the Anthony Joshua fight because Tyson Fury never really sat down on his punches against Ngannou. Tyson Fury has this strange thing that he often does in fights where he will not close his fist properly when he connects with punches. And I've seen him do this many times, particularly in the first Wilder fight. He was doing it a lot. And I think the reason Fury does this is because when he actually sits down on his shots, clenches his fist properly, shapes up properly with the correct leverage and mechanics to throw with full force, it takes him longer to get the shot on target. The punch is delivered more slowly. And because of that, it gives his opponent the opportunity to either beat him to the punch or counter him. And so after Tyson Fury got clipped and dropped by Francis Ngannou with that left hand, I think he decided, you know what? I can't actually load up on my shots with this guy. I have to just throw little pity-patty shots, stay out of the way, and just get through this fight, win it on points. But with Anthony Joshua, I always knew and I always said that he can deliver very fast, sharp, and accurate power punches at long range, mid-range, and close range. I was not at all impressed by Francis Ngannou's defense in that Tyson Fury fight. It looked wide open to me. It looked exactly like the kind of defense that Anthony Joshua would be able to penetrate very easily. And then we'll see what his chin is really all about, if he has this iron jaw or not, Francis Ngannou. Peter Fury said something similar. He didn't really talk about his nephew Tyson the way that I did, but he inferred the same thing, that Tyson hadn't really hit Ngannou properly in that fight because he was worried about being countered. Whereas with AJ, he's a sharper puncher than Fury with his power shots. He can sit down on a shot, and because he's got good balance and athleticism, it comes out fast, and he can bring his hand back fast, with a straight right hand in particular, but also the lead left hook up front. Francis Ngannou doesn't have Andy Ruiz level hand speed to be able to catch AJ when he's doing stuff like that. So I always knew AJ was going to land big shots against Ngannou, and it would take an iron jaw for Ngannou to just not get stopped. Never mind win the fight. I thought it very unlikely Ngannou would win the fight. Very unlikely. I always felt as though the skill gap between them was massive. The athleticism and coordination favors Anthony Joshua. The technique always favored Anthony Joshua in my eyes. The experience obviously being a huge one. Even if Ngannou did have an iron jaw, I always thought that there was the possibility AJ could stop him late anyway, just through sheer accumulation of damage. But anyway, back to the original point with regards to head kicks versus punches. Yes, head kicks can be more powerful than punches, but how accurate are those head kicks in landing on those vital points that cause a knockout? How cleanly are they really landing? Sometimes a kick can sound like it has landed cleanly, or it can make a big slapping sound, but it hasn't really landed that solid. You can get fooled by stuff like that. Anyway, I think I made my point, so I'll leave it there.